Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:06 here on this Tuesday morning in your nation's capital, and for the first time in 2 years, we've got snow. That means school closures all across the area. It means the roads are slick and dangerous. It means it's just miserable for a California boy like me. Yes, I'm a Michigan man, but I moved when I was a teenager, and I don't want to get into it. It's not about me, Julie Gunlock. It's not about me. That said, we're going to keep you up to date every 10 minutes with our reports on the roads and on the weather, of course. And we're also covering, of course, the Iowa caucuses last night at 8:35. Tom Bevan of Real Clear Politics will join us. I am Larry O'Connor. She is Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
And joining us right now is our friend Kurt Schlichter. Of course, he's a senior columnist at Town Hall. He's an author. He's a retired colonel in the United States Army. He's a trial attorney. His latest book is called The Attack. This is a book that predicts, I think, with appropriate earnestness, the reality that we could suffer an October 7th type attack right here in the United States. In fact, Kurt was inspired by the events of October 7th to write this book. He cranked it out quickly, and it's now a bestseller on Amazon. #1 in political thrillers and suspense, #1 in terrorism thrillers. Kurt Schlichter, congratulations. Thank you for writing this, by the way, because I think that people right now watching American politics and seeing what's going on in the Middle East, that's their problem over there, not an our problem right here. So thanks for writing this.
Well, thanks for having me, Larry. I can't say it was fun writing it, but it is. It's a novel. It's an exciting read. It's not a Bataan death march of whining and complaining. I mean, there's a little bit of humor. There's a Larry O'Connor.
There is a fine Larry O'Connor reference there, and I appreciate it very much. But it's also brutal, because what happened on October 7th is brutal. Julie and I, just a little while ago, we were watching our friend Chaya Raichek, who runs the Libs of TikTok account. She's in Israel right now. She's touring the devastation. We can't forget, it was only a couple of months ago. It was ugly. It was horrific. It was the worst of humanity, what we saw from the Hamas terrorists. You reflect that in some of the passages in your book in very real ways, and we need to know that, because Kurt, is there any doubt that these terrorists are walking amongst us because of Biden's border policies?
No, absolutely not. And everybody knows it, except for Joe Biden, who, of course, is a senile, desiccated old pervert who doesn't know much of anything except when Matlock's on and they likes ice cream. We're in a lot of danger. That's why we need to take this election seriously, and why we need to unite behind whoever's going to win the nomination. Yeah. And we need to get these creeps out of office. I mean, you look at the Democrat Party, and there is a significant constituency that wants to kill the rest of Americans. I mean, just the other day we had our own little mini insurrection. I was informed that when you attempt to knock down a fence and get into a restricted area, that's an insurrection. Apparently, that only happens when you're, patriotic or Republican.
When you're wearing a red hat instead of a keffiyeh, I think. Those are the rules.
Yeah.
It's right there in the code, yeah.
Yeah, I look at this and I think it's, you little cretins are lucky it's not a Schlichter administration, because you'd be hunted for sport. But I think, I think we are going to suffer a major terrorist attack because of the gross incompetence and stupidity and Iran footsie playing of our present administration.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a huge, huge reaction to it. And I don't think anybody's going to be happy about what happens.
Well, in your books, it's obvious it's often, a member of, it's a first responder or a member of the military that sort of comes in and saves the day. But what's your opinion on the state of, the FBI, the CIA, the military today? Are they going to be ready to, they don't seem very ready to me.
Well, Lloyd Austin's military, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Julie, I served 27 years. The present military is an absolute joke at the leadership level. The young folks trying to serve are badly served by the alleged leadership, symbolized by Lloyd Austin, who is a gross mediocrity at best. He's a terrible general. He's a terrible Secretary of State. The idea that you could just, disappear for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
The mind just reels. Of course, they're in complete denial about why so many Americans refuse to serve. And I support anybody who does serve, but I don't recommend it anymore. And that's heartbreaking for me because it was a true honor to serve, true honor to lead Americans. But now I tell young Americans, don't join up. And that's what I hear from many, many vets, and they aren't doing it. As for law enforcement, many of our first responders are terrific. But in the book, the terrorists specifically refused to attack the FBI, believing that the FBI intact will do more damage to the United States than actually attacking the FBI. And there is a scene involving the FBI. The FBI's become a joke. It used to be Inspector Erskine, now it's Inspector Clouseau, without the ruthless, beady edge that you expect from the French detective.
A direct reflection of the hapless leadership, the politicized leadership they've had. We're going to look back on these days in absolute shame that our law enforcement at the highest level of our country were focused on parents at school board meetings instead of this real threat.
Oh, and traditional Catholics. So,
Right.
Larry.
Yeah, I know.
Fortunately, I'm safe because I'm a Methodist and we don't even have Jesus.
Yeah, your only Latin is dirty jokes that you tell each other during the sermon. Kurt Schlichter's our guest. His latest book is The Attack, which in a novel format, novel meaning fictionalized format, imagines the very real possibility of a October 7th type attack here in the States. Yesterday, in the Middle East, we had two horrific incidents. First, the Houthi terrorists, backed by Yemen and backed by Iran, shot a missile and hit a U.S.-owned cargo ship. And then the Iranians took credit for a missile attack against a U.S. consulate and a base there. But I've got good news for you, Kurt Schlichter. Matthew Miller, the spokesman for the State Department, said this. Are you ready? We strongly condemn Iran's attack in Erbil and offer condolences to the families of the victim. So there you go. We strongly condemned it. That'll do it. Strongly condemned. Yep. And not only, that wasn't even the Secretary of State. That was the spokesperson for the Secretary of State.
Well, it is bizarre to me why these leftist Democrats somehow feel the need to kiss mullah butt. Again, under a reasonable administration, for instance, the entire Iranian Navy would be converted to involuntary submarines in about 30 seconds. That's what Ronald Reagan did. That's what I think that either President Trump or President DeSantis would do. The whole thing's mind-boggling, and it's going to get a lot of Americans killed. I mean, this administration's already gotten Americans killed. As a lawyer, I represented the family of one of the 13 service members murdered at Abbey Gate in Kabul. I know the damage it's done to the families. And again, why won't so many Americans join the military anymore, even after, decades and generations of service in their families? And you look at the grotesque betrayal of our troops at Kabul airport. And, of course, Joe Biden, he's sitting there watching his watch, looking at, is Matlock on yet? They don't care. And we know they don't care, and it's a disgrace.
I've noticed you've changed from Murder, She Wrote to Matlock. Is that a deliberate shift?
Well, he goes both ways.
Yeah.
He's Matlock.
Sometimes he's in the mood for a little Matlock, and sometimes he wants a little Angela.
He swings.
Boy.
It's a swing thing. Yeah.
All right, Kurt Schlichter,
him and the doctor, who's a totally real and respected doctor. Don't laugh at her degree. Because she's a very, very impressive person if you're stupid.
Number one in political thrillers and suspense, it's The Attack by Kurt Schlichter. Grab your copy of it now and get yourself not only entertained with a riveting story, but also educated about where we stand right now. I'll remind you, here was the president just a couple of days ago.
I've already delivered the message to Iran. They know not to do anything.
There you go. He delivered the message to Iran. They know not to do anything.
Yeah,
and then Iran responded yesterday. Yeah.
Well, the message is I'm a feckless old pervert. I'm a corrupt scumbag. I am weak. I'm a zombie. I will stiff you. That's the message. And the message is, where's my Secretary of Defense? I don't know.
I shall reiterate that Kurt Schlichter is a retired colonel from the United States Army, so no longer beholden to the chain of command provisions, so he can call the President of the United States a desiccated old pervert. Kurt, my friend, go back to sleep. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, Larry.
Right.
Thanks a lot. Bye, Julie.
Check Kurt out also, of course, on a regular basis as senior columnist at townhall.com. It's 7:15.
WMAL, making sense of world events. Because those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
You turn to us for coverage of the Iowa caucuses and all things politics. You turn to us here on O'Connor and Company on WMAL because if you're watching MSNBC, you get this kind of coverage.
Steph, I mean, it's the elephant in the room. She's still a brown lady that's got to try to win in a party that is deeply anti-immigrant and which accepts the notion that you can say immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. She's getting, birthered by Donald Trump. And I don't care how much the donor class likes her, which will ramp up a lot, the better she does in New Hampshire. So it's still a challenge. I don't see how she becomes the nominee of that party with Donald Trump still around. I can't picture it happening. Maybe it could happen. Ron DeSantis' only argument for staying in it is he's the white guy, that he can still make the appeal to white evangelists.
While we have...
In case you missed it, this is a well-paid anchor of a show on MSNBC, right, and a woman brought in for expert political analysis, reducing two of the top three candidates for president from the Republican Party as a brown lady and a white guy. And and they all nod approvingly, saying,
Tapper,
they're well spotted, Joy. Well spotted.
Yeah, I mean, she is obviously, the bleach on her hair is seeping into her brain.
Wait, that blonde hair isn't natural?
Not a great look on Joy Reid, but she's insane. She is a crazy woman, and a racist. And yes, she's well paid. She is paid millions of dollars for the dumbest political analysis. She's a one-trick pony.
Hateful,
it's just
divisive.
Hateful. She says the same thing with. It's always race, always race. And she does identify. She boils people down to this color of their skin. It's sickening.
Rachel Maddow is supposed to be the really smart grown-up in the room, the elder statesman person there at MSNBC. So let's get her analysis last night. That'd be cut 11.
The big picture takeaway from that, and I don't mean to be, again, too dark, as you said, on this, but it is not... If we are worried about the rise of authoritarianism in this country, we are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country, if we're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government, the leader who is trying to do that is part of that equation. But people wanting that is a much bigger part of that equation. Right. And the American electorate is made up of two major parties. One of those parties has been flirting with extremism on the ultra-right for a very long time. They've brought them in a way that they haven't been central to Republican electoral politics ever before, and I know because I've been studying this. But once you have radicalized one major party so that those are the preferences of the people who adhere to your party, the leader's interchangeable. And yes, Trumpism is sometimes what we call it.
Two quick things here. First of all, I want to commend her because she's the only one saying it. The rest of I say this to you all the time, don't I? That when they go after Trump, Trump's an authoritarian, Trump's this, the danger is Trump, the danger is Trump. What they're really thinking and what they never say is, no, you're the danger.
Yes.
Trump only gets into office if you hateful, Nazi, authoritarian, loving Neanderthals vote for him. They just won't say it. She's the only one who's actually said it. So good for her, number one. But number two, the lack of self-awareness to sit up there and talk about authoritarianism in a political party and the radicalization of embracing violence. When you don't get Joe Biden condemning the pro-Hamas terrorists who were burning down cities.
No Democrat does.
They celebrated and encouraged the Black Lives Matter terrorists that burned down American cities in 2020. And Joe Biden is now on the campaign trail bragging about the fact that he has circumvented Congress and circumvented the courts who ruled his student loan thing is unconstitutional. He's bragging, saying, I just did it myself, and I'll do it again.
And right now, pro-Palestine marchers are marching in the streets, attacking trying to get into the White House.
Yes.
And everyone's silent about this.
Right. Oh, no, it's Republicans who have embraced right-wing violent extremism. And actual authoritarianism is taking place right now, where one man is deciding policy, deciding law and how it's enforced, ignoring laws on the southern border. The law is that you protect the border, and he's just throwing up his hand saying to screw with it. That literally is authoritarianism, and she can't bring herself to recognize it.
Well, I will tell you, Joe Biden is echoing Rachel Maddow or the reverse.
Yeah.
When he said last night, it looks like Donald Trump has won Iowa. He's the clear front runner. But here's the thing, this election was always going to be you and me versus extreme MAGA Republicans. So he calls half the country and all these people in Iowa MAGA extremists, and that's
right.
What it is. That's what it is. It's you, the voter, who's ultimately the problem, as you said.
Yeah, and I want to amplify that. He actually said, if you look at his tweet verbatim, he referred to Republicans as the other side. Mm-hmm. Those are the words he used, the other side, those Americans who just vote differently than he wants them to. And you said that that's what he said last night. It was posted on his account. I doubt he actually said anything last night other than, could I get more broth over here, please? Some more broth? It's 7:20.
Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:36 here on O'Connor and Company, and we're flying along here on a super busy morning. Of course, we're going to keep you up to speed on the road conditions every 10 minutes on the fives with Jamie Whitten, and also the weather forecast at that time. Plus, we're covering last night's Iowa caucuses, as well as the tensions in the Middle East. Tom Bevan, Real Clear Politics, will join us at 8:05 on the state of the election now, after Donald Trump absolutely dominated the field with 51% of the vote. I want to keep stressing that. It wasn't just a win. It wasn't just a 30-point win, but he got over 50% in the Iowa caucus. Come on. What are we doing here? I'm Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Yes. Well, I know we've got other things to talk about, but I will say it's so funny because last night everyone was saying if he just gets to 51%, game over. And now this morning they're like, well.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't really mean it.
Last night history was made at the Emmy Awards, and you gotta stop for a moment and really point out the historic nature of this. Ali Wong is the first Asian American to win an Emmy Award for Best Actress in a limited series or TV movie. And I know we've been waiting for this glass ceiling to be broken. This is what they have to do to sort of like drill down on the historic nature of the representation of the.
When they finally run out, they're going to be like the first person with a hangnail to win lighting. I mean, it's just.
Ali Wong, the first Asian American to win Best Actress in a limited series or TV movie. There you go. I mean, where do you want? What more do you want? We were told that it was the most diverse Emmy Awards ever, which of course means it was the wokest Emmy Awards ever.
Yes.
Our friend Derek Hunter, who's a fine columnist and commentator over at Town Hall, points something out though. Quinta Brunson, African-American actress, won Best Actress in a Comedy Series for Abbott Elementary. Have you seen Abbott Elementary?
I've seen a few episodes. It's funny.
I'm told it's funny. I haven't seen it, and I feel like I don't have to see it because I've already seen it for the last 20 years on television. And here's why. Derek points this out. He says, this is a ripoff of Community, which was a ripoff of Parks and Recreation, which is a ripoff of The Office, which was a remake of The Office from England. So really, congratulations, Ricky Gervais, on last night's Best Actress Emmy Award. And it's true. That's what happens.
It's honestly a set change.
Yes. It's set change. But in Abbott Elementary, most of the characters are either black women or gay white men. So there you go.
There you go.
Because those are the people who are teaching the youth in our inner cities. Gay white men.
Speaking of RuPaul.
Oh, yes. Was he gay?
Oh, I don't know. I've lost track. I don't know.
RuPaul won for RuPaul's Drag Race, which is in, I think it's 17th season or 16th season on MTV. And he took his Emmy Award. and celebrated Drag Queen Story Hour. Listen.
If a drag queen wants to read you a story at a library, listen to her, because knowledge is power. And if someone tries to restrict your access to power, they are trying to scare you. So listen to a drag queen. We love you. Thank you.
There you go.
These are the dumbest people.
Yeah.
This is why these people have scripts.
Yeah.
When they go off script, man, they sound
Well, I don't
stupid.
think RuPaul is dumb, but I think that RuPaul is certainly... No, RuPaul ain't dumb. RuPaul has made an empire out of dressing up like a woman.
Okay.
RuPaul has figured out... Do you realize how wealthy RuPaul is? What kind of capitalist
I'm
RuPaul
sorry.
is?
So he took advantage of the immoral nature of Hollywood.
Well, yeah, you can be smart and immoral. You can be smart and be a cretin. You can. I mean, I'm not celebrating RuPaul. I'm just saying, reducing him to stupidity is not the way to go. In my opinion, you can listen. That's
Hey,
what
fine.
makes
He's
the
a
world
good
go round.
businessman, but he's stupid. All these people are stupid.
But to
You're
suggest
not
it
going to
in
convince
some
me other way.
To suggest in some way that men who dress up like women have been removed, restricted
again,
access to
yes,
power.
Yes. Oh, and
my
you're
God.
so brave. You're so brave.
They're getting more access. The last time we gave a guy who dressed up like a woman access to power, he was in the Department of Energy and then got arrested for stealing women's clothes at the airport.
Yeah,
so maybe it's a good thing to restrict access to power here.
Yeah.
Or Chelsea Manning, who sold our enemies secrets from the military.
Right, and then you've got these other stars like Selena Gomez and Taylor Swift going to pro-Hamas fundraisers.
Right.
Put what you wear on stage and go to Gaza and see how long that lasts. See how long you last.
Nancy Nash Betts. No, Niecy Nash Betts. Oh, I don't know what the heck her name is, but she won for Best Supporting Actress for Dahmer. Monster. That's the Jeffrey Dahmer thing that was on Netflix. Here's cut 14, her speech.
Up in front of all you beautiful people. Gone, girl, with your bad self. You did that. Finally, I accept this award on behalf of every black and brown woman who has gone unheard yet over-policed, like Glenda Cleveland, like Sandra Bland, like Breonna Taylor. As an artist, my job is to speak truth to power, and baby, I'm gonna do it to the day I die.
I'm so bored.
I don't understand why people don't watch these shows anymore. Do we get hazard pay for watching it?
Honestly, I'm so bored. There's nothing entertaining about that.
I like the series The Bear on Hulu. It's really well done, except now I'll probably stop watching it because here's Ayo Edebiri, who does a fine job on the show. With her speech.
My parents are here tonight. I'm making them sit kind of far away from me because I'm a bad kid. But I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for loving me and letting me feel beautiful and black and proud of all of that. I just love you so much. Probably not like a dream to emigrate to this country and have your child be like, I want to do improv, but you're real ones.
There you go.
Okay.
She thanked her mom and dad.
Well, that's nice.
She's black and proud.
Yes. Yeah. So risky. So risky. So brave.
Lots of. All right, a little bit more. Actually, I want to celebrate Elton John, and in a minute I will, because Elton John achieved something yesterday toward the twilight of his career, and we'll tell you about that in just a moment at 7:44. A little bit more from last night's Emmy Awards. If you loved Ted Lasso, and I know a lot of people who loved Ted Lasso. They loved season one was just joyful. It had heart. It was Jason Sudeikis, fish out of water, American coach who gets hired to be a soccer coach in England, right? And it was sweet. You watched Ted Lasso, right?
It was charming. I loved it.
And then I'm looking at the headline from Variety. Ted Lasso season 3 was unbearable. That's indicative of most of the reviews of the third season of Ted Lasso. And you might be wondering, what happened to this show? Why was season 3 so bad? Well, it was revealed last night. Here's cut 16. This is one of the actresses from Ted Lasso as she was presenting the Governor's Award. Listen.
Coleman and I are so very honoured to have been asked to present the 2023 Governor's Award to GLAAD.
Tonight, I am so proud standing here representing the spirit of Bayard Rustin. As an advocate for racial equity and the LGBTQ community, I understand the importance of GLAAD's mission and its commitment to representation.
When we represent the diversity of our society, we help change the narratives of a community. And I am so very proud that this past season of Ted Lasso included storylines that truly celebrated LGBTQ characters.
There you go. That's why season 3 was unbearable, because they spent their time focusing on LGBT characters instead of just telling good stories. And how does this happen? For those of you who wonder, like, why is it every time I turn on something, there's just this storyline, and it always ends up there's this character and that character. Here's how it happens. For 40 years, this organization, GLAAD, has been getting in the room with the writers and saying, there should be better representation. You're making us look bad. You should do this. You should do that. Here is the president of GLAAD, Sarah Kate Ellis, a transgender person. They couldn't actually hire a real woman or a lesbian to be the president of GLAAD. No, they got a man who dresses up as a woman. Listen.
Because what the world sees on TV influences how we treat each other and the decisions that we make in our living rooms, schools, at work, and at the ballot box.
Yeah, I don't want enough of that. I wanted you to hear that, because for a lot of people, I often hear, it's like, why do you spend so much time talking about Hollywood and movies and TV and these awards? And I get that. I do. It becomes insufferable. But what that person just said is why we do this. If you think that this is just Hollywood and it doesn't affect elections, it doesn't affect what goes on in our schools, it doesn't affect what's going on with your children, you are not paying attention. They do this on person, and we try to shine a light on it so you can recognize it when you see it, and then maybe actually do something about it, or make better entertainment choices so that we bleed them of the money that they make from us.
That's right. It is enormously influential.
It's 7